Hi, how are you doing? My name is Siba, and I was raised in the ugly, horrible, separatist cult of Jehovah's Witnesses. Um, my life was affected in many ways, and is affected in many ways by that cult. And that's one of the reasons why I'm making this video, because a lot of people don't know what it means to be born and raised in the Cult of Jehovah Witnesses. They don't know how your life is destroyed and ruined by that cult and its teachings. From a very young age, I learned, or I was taught, I should say, so I did learn from my parents, who were taught by the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, that we were to remain separate from the world. They looked at the world as unclean, ugly, and anyone who was not a Jehovah's Witness, they felt was pretty much part of Satan's world, an unsavory, seedy individual. And that's actually what the Cult of Jehovah's Witnesses teaches, which is the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. They put out countless and countless amounts of literature talking about how the Cult of Jehovah's Witnesses is superior, pretty much. They use cute terminology. They don't quite put it that way, but they let their followers know that you're not of the world. You're not like those people. So they view anyone who isn't a Jehovah Witness and isn't a part of the cult as a bad influence, bad association. So you might ask, how did that affect me? You're older now. Well, I'll tell you how it affected me. Because of my parents' separatist beliefs, I was not allowed to go to regular school. Education was not put on a high pedestal. Again, going back to the Watchtower and Tract Society, they look down on education. They even have articles such as the Young People Ask and so on, where they refer to college as extracurricular activity. They don't impress that college is education, college helps you have a good life, college helps you have a good job, because they don't care, because they teach their followers to believe that we don't worry about anything in the world we're living in now. We only worry about the new system, the next world. This world is just a means to an end, and that's how I was affected. So because of that, I was not enrolled in regular school. I didn't know this. I was not around anyone socially. I had no friends. I had no one my age. I had no one else to tell me that what was happening to me was wrong. So I pretty much went my entire young life not knowing anything about reality. I didn't learn to read until I was 19 years old. There's a story behind that, because I could read barely, a little bit. But if you were to look at my comprehension of reading in the English language at 19, you would put me probably at less than a 10-year-old. And I remember being young and leading up to that point. When I was a child, I knew I would watch TV. I actually had a chance to watch some TV. So I knew people were supposed to read and be able to understand what was going on around me. And I knew, because I didn't have that ability, that I wasn't on par with other people. I didn't know really how to express it, but I knew it was an issue. I knew it was something that I didn't want to, it was a way I didn't want to be. I wanted to read. I wanted to be like other children. What I saw on TV, because that was the only glimpse I got of other children. And I remember telling my mom, and why can't I read? Why can't I go to regular school? And she would say, if you go to regular school, you'll be in Satan's world, and if you're in Satan's world, you're not going to make it through the Great Tribulation, and you're not going to be in the New World. And I remember she would ask me, do you want to be a part of Satan's world? People in Satan's world, she would tell me, they die, they're unclean, they're horrible. And that was a mantra. That's what I grew up with. Anyone who was not a Jehovah's Witness was considered unsavory, horrible, not a good person, unless they converted to the Cult of Jehovah Witnesses. And that's still what they teach today. It comes directly from the Watchtower Tract and Bible Society. And they're tyrants. They manipulate people and fill them with lies. They tell them that this world's going to end. They get them to believe it. And they get them to make their children deranged and socially inept. And that's exactly how I grew up. Most of my life, I didn't have any friends. When I was a child, besides my sister, I had no one. I remember looking out the window and little children, neighborhood children come in and say, "Can we play with your daughter?" And my mom would say, "No, you can't play with them because they're worldly." It wasn't because they were bad. It wasn't because their parents were crack addicts. It was simply because they weren't Jehovah's Witnesses. And even though I was young and I really couldn't understand much, I knew something was wrong. I remember being 8 years old and coming back from one of their services. They went to the meetings 3 times a weekend. I remember coming back from their services and them saying, during the talk, they were talking about worldly people, and they were saying that, how we must stay away from the unclean and not sit at the table of wolves and so on. I mean, they just were really despicable with it. And they constantly used the term worldly. I remember in the car, my mom bringing up, about worldly people and how we better stay away from them, and how this is why I don't have you in regular school, and this is why, you're not allowed to play with the neighborhood children because they're worldly. And she went into this whole mantra about when the Great Tribulation comes, worldly people, they might turn you in. Now tell me, does that sound psychotic? But they believe that during the Great Tribulation, people will be against him, and it will be the final test for true Jehovah Witnesses. And she said, and they could, because a worldly person, it could mean your life. You don't want to be surrounded by people who don't believe in Jehovah. And then she went into how blah, 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 all this crap about, their beliefs and this and that, and how we want to remain clean. Mind you, she's telling this to an 8-year-old child who can't even read or write her own name. It's pretty pathetic, but that was what she was taught, and that's what the Cult of Jehovah Witness taught her. The Watchtower Tract Society taught her that they can do no wrong. Even though it didn't even sound rational, she believed this, and that's how she raised me. And so I was like, well, when I'm in my 8-year-old mind, and she would tell me, when the new system comes, and then that's when you really focus on your education. Education was never focused on in her house. It was always considered subpar, something that could wait. And that's what the Watchtower Tract Society teach people. They say, oh, send your children, give them some education, In my case, I didn't even get that, but sometimes they'll say, give them some education, let them, get high school. Preferably, they want you away from the world. But they recognize, like with my situation, they want you to read so you can proselytize. So for my situation, it was even more extreme than the average Jehovah's Witness child that was born and raised in it. So the average Jehovah's Witness child, they want you to proselytize. So they give you a little bit of education, but they don't want you intelligent enough to question. That's why they don't want you going to college. They don't want you learning philosophy. They don't want you thinking. Thinking is the issue. They even disfellowship people, which is called excommunicating people. Disfellowshipping people is a cute Jehovah's Witness term for excommunicating people. Kicking them out of the organization. A lot of people think that, people that were Jehovah's Witnesses just got kicked out because they, had sex before marriage and something like, who cares? I don't even care. Sex before marriage is not a problem, but that's one of their rules because they claim to be following the Bible. I don't believe in Christianity. I'm not Christian, first of all, period. But that's one of their requirements. Needless to say, they go beyond that. But they kick people out for questioning their beliefs. Many people have been excommunicated, disfellowshipped for questioning their beliefs. So there's a lot of red tape in the Cult of Jehovah Witnesses. My life has been affected so bad. Back on track, what I was talking about was my life and not getting education. I just learned to read when I was 19. Slowly but surely, I was able to piece things together. I really broke away from the cult when I was 24 years old. That's when I said I've had enough. I want no more of this. I'm sick of it. They're pathetic. They don't celebrate holidays. They're hateful. They don't have any love. Everything's a rule. Everything is what you can't do. There's no love. And I realized that even as a child, I remember, like I was saying back when my mom was talking about worldly influences. And I remember my monitor did something funky anyways. I remember her saying, I told her, I don't want to use the term worldly, I don't like it. And I remember she just, boom, backhanded me and said, don't you ever say that. Are you questioning what you were creating? I was 8 years old then. Are you questioning the Watchtower and Tract Society? This is Jehovah. He is only true God. Blah, 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 blah. She really went tyrannical. And that's when I really learned to just not have an opinion. Just keep everything the way I felt inside. And I realized not only was I in a strange organization, it was a cult. I didn't know how to express it because I was 8. But now I look back and I knew even as a child that I was it was a nightmare that I was in. My parents were completely brainwashed by the Watchtower Tract Society. And it led me to not have any education, not until my late, almost 20s. And now I'm still suffering because of it. And I'll go into that more in another video I'm going to post up about how now I'm well past 24, and I'm just really getting my life back on track educationally. And it's pathetic, and it really hurts me to know that there's other people out there in the Cult of Jehovah's Witnesses that are experiencing this right now. There's children out there that are being told that they don't have to worry about education. They don't have to go to college. Don't worry about scholarships. And they'll just be thrown out. Once they find out that the Jehovah's Witnesses cult is a farce and everything they taught is a lie, their parents will kick them out and they'll shun them. They won't have a family. They'll have to work at Walmart. They'll have to work from scratch. Not because they were bad people, but because they were misinformed, because they were lied to. And they never had a chance to even go to college and make something. They never had a chance to enroll in college and drop out, because college wasn't even an option in their life. Their parents didn't even allow it to be an option. What kind of parent doesn't want their child to succeed and have greatness and find greatness and have education beyond high school? What kind of a parent doesn't want to do that? The only kind of parent that doesn't want to do that is a parent that's been brainwashed by a religious cult or a cult in general. And my parents were brainwashed by the Watchtower and Tract Society, the Jehovah's Witnesses. And that's why I'm doing this. I'm going to put up more videos. C.S. Apostate really has some awesome videos. He really gets home, and he's such a great speaker, and he really gets detailed on the evil of the Cult of Jehovah's Witnesses and what they do to people. I'm going to go into more in the next video about how I wasn't allowed to have friends and how I was affected socially. I didn't know how to make a conversation because I wasn't around people. Besides going to the meetings and coming home, that was my life. I wasn't around people. I didn't have any social stimulation. And that's a mantra you'll find throughout all or many youth of the Cult of Jehovah's Witnesses whose parents are heavily practicing in the cult. If their parents are devout Jehovah's Witnesses, it's the children who suffer, even the parents, because they don't even know they're being brainwashed. It's just a bad cult, and I hope my videos and C.S. Apostate and many other people's videos will expose the Cult of Jehovah's Witnesses and children for what they are. My dream is to see CNN or a big-time news station really expose them and really talk to people like C.S. Apostate and like me and like thousands of others that have been hurt and wronged by the Cult of Jehovah's Witnesses and expose them. So I'll have another video and go more into about my life and how it was affected by the Cult of Jehovah's Witnesses. And also some of their scare tactics, how they really keep you entrenched in lies. It takes a lot to keep a human mind from thinking, to keep a human mind from questioning. It takes a lot. And I was going to go into about the person who made up the cult, Joseph Franklin Rutherford. Very hateful man, very yucky man. He's the one that really made the Cult of Jehovah's Witnesses what it is today, a separatist cult, tantamount to, they're not separatism race, separatism religion. They're racist to the world. Anyone who's not a Jehovah's Witness, who's not a Jehovah's Witness, is to them an abomination unless they are converted to the Cult of Jehovah's Witnesses and their teachings. So that's all for now. I'm out. This is Siva. Thank you for listening. In the fight against cults, and I'm living anti-dogma, and that's what I do.